All right, this one's for you, Kyle. Who's the best pound for pound player in the NFL draft? This question is from Matthew G. And actually, the last question, the wide receiver one, was from Peter T. I didn't want to leave him out. So this one from Matthew. Best pound for pound player in the NFL draft. And then, are there any potential draft steals?
So, I mean, if you just want to, like, pound for pound is kind of a weird thing because, like, you are what you are at some point. But, like, I think the best overall player in the draft.
Gotta guess appearance real quick.
She like dived out. She's like, "Oh, don't put me in the video." Hey, Jules. Jamar's wife, guest appearance.
So, just I think that the best player, and it's not going to be the first overall pick, but he's going to be the best. He's the most dynamic player. Isaiah Simmons.
Whoa.
What do you mean, whoa?
Whoa.
What do you mean, whoa?
Hey, I like Isaiah Simmons, so I'm surprised you said that. Continue.
The guy is a freak.
Yes.
So let me just bring up some combine stats here. 6'4", 240, 4.39 40, 40-inch vert. Other stats aren't there. The guy plays free safety, strong safety, linebacker,
edge rusher.
He could do it all. So in terms of like just what you're gonna get as a value, he's going to be a guy like Jamal Adams in terms of his versatility in the league, but he's faster and he's rangier. So I was actually at the game, the semifinal game in Arizona, Ohio State Clemson. And so I had a good angle down one of the sidelines, and I saw the pick happen down the right sideline that Fields threw to him. He came from the hash on a whole shot down the sideline and cover two and made a play on the sideline on what's going to be an NFL quarterback and an NFL receiver in one of the biggest games of the year. And I know they didn't win the championship, but I think we're going to look back and go, man, someone missed on him. Wherever it is. Even if he goes 5, people missed on him.
And the reason I was surprised wasn't because I don't agree with you that he's a freak. He's one of my favorite players in the draft. He's my number 2 player, so I'm not super shocked. I saw that same thing. His versatility is otherworldly. There have been some people who, and I think Jamar will be happy to hear this, some people have mocked him to the Chargers and saying that him and Derwin James on the same field.
Well, they're very similar. I think he's just maybe a plus version of Derwin James at his best.
Exactly. So, I mean, the 2 chess pieces there would be absolutely ridiculous. But for me, I think the best player is Chase Young. I think that Isaiah Simmons has the ability to be a Hall of Fame, gold jacket player. But the thing is that he could get messed up by some stupid defensive coordinator who's like, I don't know where to put this guy. I'm gonna sit here and stack
3-4.
Yeah, I don't know what it like. There's gonna be some dumb defensive coordinators out there, and not dumb as in like I'm smarter than them, but dumb as far as compared to other defensive coordinators that are not going to know what to do with his versatility and pigeonhole him somewhere, and he's not going to be able to flourish. Like, that is a definite possibility. Like, Chase Young, I don't think that you can put him anywhere out unless you're going to put him in a secondary.
But what if they pull... Remember the Texans a few years ago said, Clowney, you're an outside linebacker.
But that's the thing. Chase Young has the ability to move, and I think his hips are better than Clowney's. If they tried to do that, I think that he could do that better than Clowney. Like his hands are good enough. If you wanted to move him in the 3 tech, it would be dumb. But if his hands are good enough, that he could play 3 tech.
I'm not saying that he should, but that would be something that dumb that they could do.
Of course. But I think the point being is that like playing Isaiah Simmons as a stack linebacker in a 3-4 or playing Chase Young out of position as an edge rusher in a 3-4, I think Chase Young would still be a better player. If you played Chase Young as a 3-tech in a 4-3, I think he would still be a better player. So again, Simmons is my number 2 player, but I think that was the difference for me is that Chase Young, you can't F it up as much with him than you could with Isaiah Simmons.
He's a one-place guy.
Yeah. So, Jamar, you have any big time ideas on players coming out this year?
Big time or out of the norm.
Any draft steals? I got a couple. So I think Amik Robinson, a corner out of Louisiana Tech. There have been a couple of people who have talked about him. He's 5'8", 187. He's not, super physically imposing, but I've seen a lot of corners make a lot of hay in this league. And one of the big things is of course you need to cover. That's the first. But if you're taking out the 100% assumption that you need to be able to cover to play that position, you need to be competitive and you need to be able to grind and be able to tackle. There are plenty of guys that are in this league that can cover with the best of them, but outside of running with the player, they're dead on rundowns. So Amik Robinson is a guy who can tackle. He is ultra competitive. He's a guy who's going to be able to be a strong player in the locker room. I think another player is Michael Pittman Jr. from USC. He's a guy who plays punt coverage. He's a guy who I think Daniel Jeremiah had a sit down with him and he was impressed enough that he was talking about his punt block against one of the teams instead of his receiver stats. And then when you look at his receiving stats, he had over 1,000 yards. I think he had about 12 touchdowns. He can make plays on the perimeter. A high character guy. When you're looking at those type of steal players, you're looking at guys who can find ways to make plays outside of just the one trick pony, who can affect your team in multiple ways. So those are a couple. I also think Bryce Hall, the cornerback out of Virginia, ultra competitive, a guy who was injured in 2019 for the most of the season. A guy who can come down and tackle, a guy who can play and make plays on the perimeter. And the last one is Antoine Winfield Jr. That dude is ridiculous. That dude is ridiculous. When it comes down to making plays, I comped him as Earl Thomas, making plays on the ball, coming down, making tackles. He might be short, but it doesn't matter. He can do anything that you need him to do. If you want a box safety, if you want a guy who's just going to play in the line of scrimmage, that's probably not the best thing for him, but he can do that if you want him to. But if you want a guy who's going to play free for you, traditional free, your center fielder guy, that guy, he's going to wreck games. So I'm really excited to see all three of those players play.
So you might know where I'm going with this. One of my favorite players just to watch last year in college football. I think he's going to fall down the draft board for some other reason. I had to find it in here. I know. I had to find it in here. Projected 5th round pick, Lynn Bowden Jr., Kentucky. So he played some running back. He actually is probably going to end up being a receiver in the league. But he ended up playing quarterback for Kentucky. And if you want to watch some legit highlights, watch him just be a running quarterback just for fun. They just took and said, hey, just run the ball. He ripped off a 300-yard game against someone in the SEC, I think. I think he's going to fall down the draft board. He is only a 4.46 guy, but with the ball in his hand, he does a lot of good stuff. He can play in the return game. And I think that, even if he pops up into the 4th round, you're going to get a good professional receiver and playmaker with that pick.
Yeah.
And then another one, and then he got a lot of run after the Senior Bowl. Harrison Bryant, third round grade, probably going to jump up a little more than that. May not be a Kelsey type, a big time playmaker, but he's going to be very good for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He has the blocking skills to take advantage at that position. But you actually look at his stats: 65 receptions, 1,000 yards last year, led tight ends in the nation in both. It is Florida Atlantic, but that is one thing that he proved at the Senior Bowl is he could play with the big guys.
Right.
And I think he did a really good job in being able to play in the slot as a tight end in line, which some guys are not willing to do, Jimmy Graham. And he could play in the backfield. They're playing some H-back stuff with him. I think he's going to be a nice pick, and he's going to outperform his draft position.
Right.